Friday the 13th, and Christian Maher is here from the Crawford Heritage Foundation. Hey, happy Friday the 13th.
Where's my hockey mask? I need that.
I know. Boy, that'd be great to watch tonight.
It'd be fun.
The ones without Jason or the ones with Jason?
Well, I don't know. I'm a purist. I still like the first one. That one's the best.
Best?
Yeah. Although I guess he does appear at the end of that one.
Yeah, but not the way people think.
Not like you remember him. And it's got quite the twist. I mean, it's a good movie.
It is a good movie. Yeah.
Not to say that the others aren't entertaining in their way.
I think I prefer maybe Halloween more than.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm with you on that.
Iconic characters, right?
Yeah. The thing I always say about Michael Myers is he never needs to get the hustle on. Like, he's gonna get you.
Yeah.
Like, he's just there, and like you turn around, and you're like, oh, I'm safe. No.
And how he morphs into Austin Powers, I'll never know.
I was thinking that.
That's a different Mike Myers. Yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah.
That's bad joke. Bad
Sorry.
joke.
I am not caffeinated enough yet this morning to keep up. You're too quick for me.
Well, I've only had a couple hours on you. That's all.
True.
Mark's been here since yesterday. So, Christian, what's
Never
new and
mind that
exciting?
last week.
Interestingly, it's kind of scholarship time again, in that it's time for us to do some college fairs. And we had one in Meadville this week. We'll have one in Titusville coming up here in November, and at the high school, of course. And so if you're a parent, unfortunately, it's already the time, and if you're a parent of a student who's going to be going to college next year, it's time to start planning. It's time to start filling out the federal application for student aid, or FAFSA, and making sure that you've got all of your tax forms and things together to do that. And that's important because all the colleges are going to need that. And we're going to need some of that information as well when we review scholarship applications. As some of our scholarships, though not all, I'm quick to point out, have a financial need component. Some people get a little bit bent out of shape about financial need component. Like, well, we make all this money. And, well, sometimes that does influence.
Or the cost of college is so expensive today, but yet it's the same amount of grant money that's going out.
Yeah, and that's a problem. And it's hard. Even when you're a doctor or a lawyer and you've got to send kids to school, it's still not inexpensive.
Well, I just, and again, it's great when somebody can give you $250 or $500. That's really nice. But now that buys you one book.
Pretty much.
I find that to be just ridiculous. It's just $500 for a book. I thought it was bad.
Well, I'm exaggerating, but it's
$75 for a whole semester.
There are some that are up there.
Yeah, but even used books are $90.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So other than that, I've been doing a lot of planning with people. We had somebody in last week that I had to research, I think, 23 different charitable organizations that they're going to want to support through gift through their will and estate plan. We had somebody else who is establishing a scholarship through their estate plan. It's going to be funded with their IRA. It's just been a busy time for that kind of thing. I've been doing some research on other charitable organizations to make sure that people have all their information ready when they go to see their attorney and do that kind of work. So it's not been many dull moments lately.
Are you sort of getting in that mindset of wrapping up the year and looking back at things that you've done?
We are wrapping up the year in the sense that this is the time of our annual appeal as well. So we make an annual appeal every year to raise discretionary money, so money that we can use to affect needs right now and put some money away for the future, but also to make grants this year and next year. And so our big push is going to be in the next 3 weeks. Everybody should be getting an envelope in the mail, or if you don't, you can log onto our website and with your credit card make a nice charitable gift to the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation. And in return, you get that nice warm glow of giving, but you also get our thanks and appreciation for all that you've done to help us. And then we'll report back to you and let you know all the great things that have been done with your money.
I was going to ask you a question off of that. The state budget, are you getting any feedback from organizations like you did a couple years ago?
Not yet. I mean, obviously it's a mess, but it seems like all this weird borrowing kind of stuff that the governor's planning to do is keeping things afloat. As he
says with confidence.
It doesn't seem like the best idea, but I've heard no one complain yet. There's not, at least not about that. It's
are people better prepared today than they were a couple years ago?
Well, I think there's a little bit of that too. I think everybody's been burned. They know that these sources of funding are not permanent, and things are going to come up and down. So I know a lot of organizations that do have a pretty healthy rainy day fund, or they have contingencies to borrow if they need to. Obviously, that nobody wants to pay the interest on a loan, but sometimes you have to do that and be prepared to do that.
Now, have you offered any advice to those folks in the past?
Well, we work with some. Anyone who's got an endowment with us has a permanent source of support, and so that endowment, we can't invade the principal, but our belief is that you can use that as collateral when you're talking to a bank and trying to get a loan, because you can go to them and say, hey, look, we're getting this consistent source of support from the community foundation, so you know that we're good for this loan money because we're guaranteed a return. And I think that's usually helpful.
Are you seeing any struggles between the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts?
Not yet. I saw that the other day. But you have to imagine that there is a need for kind of advanced leadership's programming. And, if a young lady, a young woman wants to develop those skills and become an Eagle Scout, I think that's a pretty great thing, especially if the Girl Scouts don't seem to be offering that kind of programming.
Well, I think Mark pointed this out yesterday or whenever we talked about it. There seems to be some larger issues that they're not bringing up. If they're talking about doing this, then there's obviously some recruitment issues. And they're looking to get more kids into the program.
Exactly. And I think probably from the time that you and I were young, I mean, I was a Boy Scout. You were a Boy Scout, I'm assuming? Or?
It's funny. Mark's an Eagle Scout. My dad was an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
But he never pushed that on us.
Okay.
I watched MacGyver.
Yeah. And so I
That's the closest I got.
I was by no means an Eagle Scout. I think I lasted as a Boy Scout for a year. But I did Cub Scouting, and I think I got a lot out of it. And I think with a lot of things, kids these days are kind of overscheduled. So it's another thing to add on.
And that's what we talked about. That there's a lot of distractions out there. There's
but it's good programming. I mean, it's leadership skills. It's
citizenship. It's outdoors. It's all that good stuff. A little bit of self-reliance.
Yeah, and I think you also need good parents who kind of push you in that direction a little bit. My parents were all too happy just to be like, oh, you don't want to do it? Okay. Right. We don't want to pay for it either. So I think they were like, oh, you did Cub Scouts for a year. We got you going. And now you're just kind of like,
been there, done that. Maybe. Next. Yeah. 8:22. This is the Morning Drill on Stream Television, Armstrong and the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. We're here with Christian Maher, Crawford Heritage Foundation. A lot goes on with your organization, Christian. You do an awful lot.
I wear a lot of hats. Well, I've got my Leadership Meadville shirt on today for visiting, working with the Leadership Meadville program with Krista Lundy and the Meadville Western Crawford County Chamber of Commerce. And
are you teaching her to become a leader?
No, she has wonderful leadership skills on her own. Yeah. She has taken that organization in a direction that I'm not sure was possible before. And so today is this is the 8th year of our Leadership Meadville program, and I wish they had called it Leadership Crawford County in the beginning, because we really do draw from people throughout the county. And today is our agriculture day, and we're visiting the Spruce Road Dairy Farm, which will be very exciting, and Ernst Conservation Seeds. And we're hearing from some other leaders in the agriculture industry, people from the USDA and some other organizations. So it should be enlightening to a lot of organizations. I got my boots on in case I step in anything.
You're ready to go.
I am ready to go. They're waterproof. We're all set.
You mentioned the scholarships, but looking back, you've been able to help a lot of other organizations this year with and it's technology and helping that push.
Yeah, we've bought some computers and other things for organizations. And we're getting ready to give out, and for nonprofit organizations in the community, it's important to know that we are also getting ready to give out money again at the beginning of next year. So you've got a couple months now to start writing your applications for this year. Please, please, please get them in early. If you get them in early, we can review them early. If we have questions, we can hammer out any clarification that we might need way ahead of the grant deadline. If you get them in on December 15th, the day that they're due, and we read them then and there's things missing, we might have to take you out of consideration because there are things missing. And this has become a pretty competitive program for us. We get in the neighborhood of 30 applications every time we do this twice a year. And we have to be kind of hard-nosed about it sometimes and take folks out who just didn't follow the directions to the T because we've got a lot of competition. And so we hate to do that, but you've got to draw the line somewhere. And so, like many things, get it done early. Call us if you have questions. Make sure to ask if it's the kind of thing that we can do. Most any charitable organization that has their 501c3 status is eligible. Municipalities are also eligible, school districts. So your average private citizen, I'm afraid we can't help you. Your average for-profit business, we can't help you. But most nonprofit organizations, we're there to help support your mission in some way. And if you're not sure the kinds of things that we would do, or if the project you have in mind is the kind of thing we would support, feel free to give me a call and I'll talk it out with you. If you want me to come out and see your program, I'd love to do that too.
Hey, I had a question for you. This goes back to the beginning of our conversation, and you were talking about a client that came to see you, and you were looking over a couple of dozen... 23 different organizations. When you do that kind of research, you ever run across any surprises?
Not usually. Some of these were organizations that I was not previously aware of, and so I'm a Rotarian, and so one of them was Rotary Foundation, and so...
Sorry, there was
some
a
little
creepy crawly on your shoulder there.
I think I might have brought that with me. It's Friday the 13th after all.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I didn't have my Jason hockey mask, but...
You brought the bug with you.
Brought the bugs, yeah. And so occasionally there are organizations that you have no idea about. This one, we looked at the Rotary Foundation and Zonta Foundation, which I hadn't previously been aware of. And there's also the question with this donor of, we were supporting Salvation Army and American Red Cross, which are national organizations. But do they want the money to go nationally to those organizations, or would they prefer that they go to the local chapters of each of those organizations? And so these are the things to clarify when we're talking with someone, and to really spell out in your will, because if you don't, and you wanted the money to go to the Salvation Army here in Titusville, and you didn't specify, that money's going to go to West Nyack, New York, and it's going to go to programs nationally. And so that might be fine with you. Maybe that's what you intended. Maybe it's not, though. Maybe you wanted to make sure it was spent here. So these are the things that we like to think about. We make an effort to talk about with our donors so that they know that after they've passed away, that their money is doing the exact thing that they want to do.
So the idea is really to find no surprises and make sure that they know what they're getting into.
Right, and so we also work pretty closely with people's attorneys to make sure that they have the information that they need when they're completing the estate plan. You don't want... we're actually kind of bringing down your costs in some way, because that's usually an hour less that your attorney needs to charge you for doing this charitable research that they otherwise don't need to do. And I think we're a little more thorough, just because we have some expertise in the area. Most attorneys are assigning it to a paralegal, and they don't have the access to the same databases and things that we do.
And you've said before, where you've done some research, somebody's come to you and said, "Hey, I want to, give some money to this group," and they maybe aren't that familiar with that group, but you do some research and find out, oh, listen, there's a couple things that we're not sure about.
Well, it's more. There's always confusion about names and things. You might like. Maybe you want to support cleft palate repair, and there's 2 organizations that do that. Do you like Smile Train, or do you like Operation Smile? And do you really know the differences between the two? And now we can do that research and tell you and fill you in and tell you what our opinion is of it, or you can do that research and with our help, or you can just do it on your own if you have the ability.
Do you ever sit across from somebody and they're just adamant that this is who they want to give money to, and you're like, don't do it?
No, I think most organizations are pretty up and up, and most people want to support most people have done their research. They've been giving to these organizations for years. They kind of know. There's always controversies with things. Red Cross has had controversies. United Ways have had controversies. I think that all those organizations have become better through those controversies. They've made mistakes, they've admitted to those mistakes, and they've tried to improve. There's certain veterans charities where a lot of the money doesn't go to veterans that I'm personally dubious of, and I've expressed those concerns to people in the past, and I think they've been those critiques have been well received. But
so if I want to give money to the Human Fund,
the Human Fund, of course,
that's
made famous
legit.
in Seinfeld,
yeah.
I'll look it up on GuideStars, one of the databases we use. I'll look it up for you.
Christian.
Better yet, I'll make a gift in your honor this Friday the 13th.
Christian, always great to see you.
Wonderful to see you as well.
Good luck with everything. And
hey, thanks.
The leadership conference you have.
Leadership Meadville, Agriculture Day.
Agriculture Day, yeah. Don't step in it.
No.
Good to see you. Hey,
nice to see you.
Bruce is coming up, and final look at news next.
Okay.